This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. All right, so this is the report card or not a report card, but maybe an interim report. You know, the semester is not even close to done, but early grades, early returns on what I'm seeing from this team. Are they on track? Are they not? We've kind of did a more scientific study of this when I did the expectations. Are they living up to them video, comparing the Browns' expectations that we set in the off season and seeing if the Browns are on track for that. When I did that video, we basically saw that the defense is 26% above expectation. The offense is about 15% below. So one area doing well, one area doing bad. Special teams about at expectation. So that's where the Browns are. Overperforming defense and a underperforming offense. That being said, let's get into the grades. And we're going to start here with, let's start with the defense. And I don't know how it's possible not to give Jim Schwartz an A+ grade, given how much this defense is overperformed. And look, man, I wasn't lenient on the expectations for this defense. I predicted some very significant jumps, and they're on track to do significantly more than those significant jumps. Enough can't be said about Jim Schwartz. It's just a different defense. Now, there is a question on how much of this is the quality of quarterback play that you've gone against, right? Once you start putting man on much better quarterbacks, is that going to be something that burns you? Is this secondary really as good as it looks? Because right now we've seen the three excellent games be against Kenny Pickett, Ryan Tannehill, and Joe Burrow, who through the 4 weeks of the season is not the Joe Burrow that we all know, right? Like, that's just the truth. So the one time that this defense did look like it had some problems, it is when it went up with Lamar Jackson. How are they going to handle those elite quarterbacks? Are they going to be able to stand up? The next few weeks, you're going to get tested. You're going to get tested real heavy. Some good quarterbacks coming to town against Cleveland. So we'll see where that stands. But as far as the defense, I think tackling is so much better. I think the defensive line play is leaps and bounds better. And I think a lot of the credit goes to Jim Schwartz. Look, Andrew Berry gets credit for getting some of these pieces here. The trade for Zadarius Smith is huge. The signing of Dalvin Tomlinson is a big deal. Bringing in Juan Thornhill is important, but we've seen this defense be talented. We've seen this defensive roster feel stacked before and not perform up to expectation, or at least be a frustratingly decent defense, right? Where they're good in spots, but they're not good every time that you need them to be good. This defense has been above expectation. Myles Garrett has been above expectation. Denzel Ward has been above expectation. That's the key word of the day when you talk about this Cleveland Browns defense. Above expectation. A+ grade to Jim Schwartz, A+ grade to the defensive personnel. Could not be happier with them. They are not just playing to expectation, they are exceeding it. You know what I mean? So gotta love that, right? Let's talk about special teams. I give special teams a C+. And some people are going to be upset because you want to give them an A because they are meeting expectations, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're meeting expectations. They're not exceeding expectations. I don't think that Dustin Hopkins is so much better than what we would normally expect from a quarterback. Cornerback, kicker, my bad. I'm tripping. But he's been as you would expect a veteran kicker to be. Makes his extra points, makes his easy field goals, goes 50-50 from 50+. You'll live with that. You will. You'll live with that. That's fine. I think he's well on track to be the guy he's always been, and that's just a good place to be in. So don't take that C+ as disrespect. And also other things factor into this. The punt return game has been awful, right? Like, I think a C plus grade is generous once you factor that in, how awful the punt and kick return stuff has been, how awful some of the defensive punt and kick return stuff has been. That hasn't been up to expectation, but hey, the kicker's playing well. The punter's doing okay. I would love if we didn't give away bad field position on special teams as often as we do. And it's kind of shocking to see that become a problem for a team. And I don't think it takes Jakeem Grant to fix it. Like, that shouldn't be the excuse for it being that bad on the return. And just throw somebody back there. Like, I understand that people are enamored with having a playmaker at punt return. Right. You want somebody who's going to be Josh Cribbs. You want to relive those memories. I get it. I understand. I really do. I understand the excitement that you want there. But in all truth, a lot of teams would be better off, instead of going for that kind of potential, just throwing out a possession punt returner. Somebody who knows when to catch a ball, knows when to let a ball roll, and knows how to play the field position game. Because the Browns are losing the field position game more often than not because of horrible decisions being made on these punt returns. He gonna fair catch at the 5. Why? He gonna not fair catch at the 12. Let it bounce to the 1. Why? You know, a lot of weird to say. I'm gonna run it out the end zone for no reason and get to the 10. Like, it. I get that everybody wants to make a play. I get that nobody signs up, plays football their whole life so they can fair catch a punt, right? And that'd be the only thing that they do. But man, oh man, is there a value market for a dude like that? Like, I miss Jim Leonard. Just give me a possession punt returner, a guy who knows when he's at the 10, you don't need to catch it. A guy who knows when he's at the 12, I'm gonna catch it. And a guy you don't have to worry about muffing it. Like, it's such an underrated idea. And like, look at the Browns and look at some of the field position they've started at this season. And it's obvious that this is a problem for them because they're terrible at this. Donovan Peoples-Jones is terrible at it. He's always been terrible at this since he came into the league and he was returning punts for the team. I've always been nervous about his decision making when it comes to these punt returns. Like, he's always been bad at this. Just get somebody who could catch the damn ball and have enough spatial awareness to know where they at. You ain't got to take the hits. You ain't got fair catch it. If it's smart to fair catch it, let it bounce. If it's smart to let it bounce, that's all I need. That's all I need. We don't got that. We need that. You know what I mean? Like, somebody should be able to do it, man. Somebody should be able to do it. That don't make no sense to me. So special team C+, that's generous, to be honest with you, given everything else that factors in to special teams and not just the kicker. All right, man, let's talk about the offense. The grade's not going to be good here. You're below expectations on production, so you're already beneath a C. The question is, are you at F or D? Here's where I'm at with the offense. I've seen some things that excite me. I think the Titans game is exciting. I think there were some things there that they took advantage of. There were some positions that they put Deshaun in, and boy, I get excited. But there are some things that make me concerned. So they changed the offense, right? Like they did. They talked about it all summer. They changed the offense. And you could tell it's different. They're running a lot more empty. They're in shotgun more often. It's a 60-40 split instead of a 55-45 split. You know, they made some changes. It's a different offense, but where they chose to make drastic changes makes me scratch my head. Like, the big changes now are that we're going to have wide receivers in the backfield running orbit screens, and that we're going to have centers in the backfield lead blocking. And yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it. Like, every time, all the new stuff that I see in this offense, I'm like, man, that's not what we wanted, right? We're seeing all this extra stuff that they're trying to do to kind of spring a run game open, to maintain this wide zone stuff from the gun. And it's just not working. It doesn't look good. it looks like fairly obvious when you run it. You don't have very many options, and you're not running RPOs. You're not running a lot of motion. You're not really doing the things that would indicate that you're keeping up with the trends in the NFL. And it seems like we're still trying to run, a heavily influenced Kubiak system when I thought we were moving towards more of a McVay, well, not a McVay, but McVay does something similar now. He doesn't really run the strict Kubiak anymore, but you see it adjusting to, how McVay adjusted it, how even Kyle Shanahan has adjusted some of his principles and how much motion you see. And it just hasn't been there. I'm not impressed with the creativity that I'm seeing on offense, whether that be from Kevin or AVP or the quarterback room. I'm just not impressed. I don't love the wrinkles that they've thrown out there. I struggle to see the vision with this room, and I want to see different things. And maybe they're right. Maybe what they're adding into the offense is exactly what they need. And I look like an idiot at the end of the year, but the Browns win a ton of games, and I'm fine with that. But I have to be honest about how I feel about this offense. And it's like the more I look into it, the more I deep dive into the film, the more I really evaluate some of these looks that they're coming out and what they're trying to do and what's actually happening to these defenses. And the more and more I'm just not encouraged by what I'm seeing. Now, what do I want to see? I want to see more motion, more shotgun, more RPOs, more empty, more inside zone. They have to adjust. I think there is a significant disconnect between what Kevin believes he has in this roster and what might be the case for this roster. Now, every coaching staff has this, right? Every coaching staff believes in their guys. And I think Kevin is a real loyal guy. He believes in his guys. He's going to give them chances to prove themselves. And he's not going to demote you in that way. And that's an admirable trait. But at some point, we have to realize when it comes to the offensive line, it's not 2020 anymore. You don't have the greatest offensive line in football. You don't have this unstoppable wall of an offensive line. 2020 Jet Wills was a long time ago. 2020 Wyatt Teller was a long time ago. J.C. Treader is not on this team. Jack Conklin, 2020 version of him, long time ago. 2020 Jed's a long time ago. He's not been better since that. So, I want to see an offense that adjusts to that. Right now, we're still calling plays and scheming things as if we have that time, as if this offensive line is still living in 2020. At some point, we have to accept that it's just not 2020 anymore. The same thing goes with Nick Chubb. Now, I'm going to give a little leniency here because let's be real, the Nick Chubb injury happened way faster, right, than the regression on the offensive line. You could argue that the regression on the offensive line, specifically with Jet Wills, has been a pretty rapid process, and they're going to have to wait that one out until they know for sure. But this Nick Chubb thing, it popped up in week 2, and, I understand that when you have Nick Chubb, you're going to run a lot of wide zone. You're going to want to get him out wide, let him make a decision, get him downhill. But you don't got Nick Chubb anymore now. You need to make the change. You can't have these complicated run keys that only Nick Chubb knows how to read because he's such an elite seer of everything out there. You got to have something that the layman can run. And right now, the layman cannot run that wide zone. The layman can run inside zone. The layman can run off of RPO. The layman can run off of simpler run concepts, and it's about time to just run some simpler concepts, right? Guard, tackle, guard, center, guard, whatever you want to do, run some simpler concepts. Make the life easier for not only your offense, but the entire team. I showed you guys in the film review, or at least you'll see in the film review in the next coming days when I do the Browns versus Baltimore Ravens defensive review, when I'm looking at the defense, you're going to see a lot of these interesting motions that the Ravens are doing that are really causing stress to the Browns defense. You don't see any of that with the Cleveland Browns, or not enough of it. And you would like to see more creativity, not wackiness. I don't need to see like DeJuan Jones in the back. I don't want that. I just want some motion. I just want some RPOs. I just want some empty. I just want some inside zone. I don't need a million trick plays. I really don't need a million trick plays. And this is the frustrating thing with Kevin. We'll get the end arounds. We'll get Elijah Moore in the backfield. We'll get an orbit screen. We'll get these things. But like, what about an RPO? What about emotion? What about just some empty? Like what about these things that are tangible, replicable things? A trick play you can use once or twice versus a certain look. It's not replicable. Empty, inside zone, shotgun, motion. These are replicable. So that's where my frustration has been. I don't think it's necessarily the play calling that's my problem. I think that can be overblown, that conversation. My issue is really just the structure, the play sheet itself, I think is the problem, or at least a part of the problem with the offense. And again, small sample size, but if I had to diagnose something, I think that's a little bit of the issue. Is it's not the play calling itself, it's what's on the play sheet. And there's not enough motion on that play sheet. There's not enough shotgun on that play sheet. There's not enough RPOs on that play sheet. There's not enough empty on that play sheet. There's not nearly enough inside zone on that play sheet. And that's what they need to address, to be honest with you. So D-, I'll give them a D-. D- for this first quarter interim report card, whatever you want to call it. I'm not enthused with Kevin Stefanski's vision of this offense. Now, again, 3 games with Deshaun Watson, 2 games where he can throw, very limited vision of what you want to see. But also, and not to give him a complete excuse for that, you would think you would see RPOs when he's struggling against Pittsburgh. You would think you would see RPOs when it's raining like it was. You would think that you would see RPOs in those situations. So why not? You know, I'm just confused because they brought it in when he first got here. They talked about bringing it in and it just disappeared. Like, who doesn't want to do it? I'm not sure. But that's what I need to see. Yeah, I'm not just gonna put some imaginary thing here. I hate when people get mad and they state a goal that's super malleable, right? I don't want to just sit here and be like, Kevin has to be better at calling plays. What does that mean? What does that mean? Right? That means nothing at the end of the day. It's just something that you could use whenever the offense doesn't play well to bash them. What I want to see, if I think I have a problem with the play sheet or the calls being played, okay, I'm going to name some concepts I want out there and I want to see. I want to see more motion. I want to see more shotgun. I want to see more RPOs. I want to see more run from the shotgun. I want to see some more inside zone. I want to see more empty, especially when Deshaun's out there. That's what I want to see. I want to see some of those things. If I see those things and they work, hey, got no problem. If I don't see those things and the offense still stinks, got a problem. If I see those things and the offense stinks, okay, was wrong. If I don't see those things and the offense is good, I was wrong. But that's what I want to see. It's not an end all be all. You're not going to become the best offense in the NFL because you add a couple RPOs in, but it will help. You're not going to become the best running game in the NFL because you run some inside zone, but maybe you can get 3-4 yards of carry. Get some smooth inside zone runs. You're not going to wreck the league playing out of empty, but maybe you turn the ball over less. That's all I want. And I'm always going to strive to be constructive of my criticism. If I'm critical of a player, I'm always offering areas of constructiveness with that criticism. I try not to just be mean-spirited on here. And I hope I'm not coming off as mean-spirited, but that's where the criticism lays at. Even with the offensive line, we could say, hey, the offensive line is the reason the offense looks bad. It can't be all perfect. This goes back to the Baker Mayfield argument, right? When I was frustrated with Baker Mayfield, part of what was frustrating was the fact that it seemed like everything needed to be perfect in order for him to do his thing. And now that it's Kevin Stefanski, the excuse can't be that it's not perfect. Hey, man, offensive coordinators have bad offensive lines all the time. They make something happen. If Kevin can't have a good offensive line, if Kevin can't have a good offense with an average offensive line, writing's on the wall. That can't be the excuse. The excuse can't be that he needs the best offensive line in the NFL to have a functional offense and also have the best running back in football. That can't be the excuse. At some point, he has to be able to be leaned on, to be trusted, that he can get himself, or this offense can get themselves without having a Nick Chubb, without having the best offensive line. Obviously, if Deshaun goes down, it's different, but that's not the bulk of the problems that we're talking about, right? We're talking about an offense that's still trying to block like they have the best offensive line in football. You're talking about an offense that's still trying to run the ball like they have the best running back in football. At some point, you have to be malleable. So that's where I'm at. I think these things can change. I don't know if they're going to change. And it's not a guarantee that if they do these things, that it will fix everything. But I just want to be constructive. I don't want to yell into a void. I don't want to scream for somebody to get fired. That's not the type of energy that I like to carry. I want to be constructive. I want to put things out there in the universe that's going to help the Browns win, hopefully. That's what I want to do. And that's how we get there. Right now, if I had to give this team a grade, they're probably a C+ team. They can beat anybody. They can lose to anybody. That's who the Browns are right now. That offense gets back over the hump, gets back to expectation. They are a B+ to A+ team. But right now, they're a C+ team. And if that offense does not improve, they will be a C- team. That's their floor, C-, 7-9, 8-9, or whatever it is. That's their floor, right? 7 wins. That's a C- football team. It's a slightly below average team. So right now they're at C+. We'll see where they finish off. That's my grades. That's my report cards for the Cleveland Browns. Let me know what your report card looks like down below. Give me your explanations. Let me know what you think down there. But y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.